Feel a little bit like Sporty Spice right now. All right, welcome back to Foundation Friday. This is where I do foundation related videos on Fridays on my channel. I have a whole playlist down below with hundreds of foundation reviews if you're new here. But today I'm going to be sharing a long-lasting heat, humidity proof foundation routine that I found works amazing on my skin. I spent about a week in South Carolina in the southern summer heat and humidity, which turns out is no joke. 90 something degrees with 80% humidity. Wow, it was an experience. But I found a face routine and just easy vacation kind of makeup look that I want to share with you guys because it ended up lasting amazing throughout the day on my skin. When I'm on vacation, I just want something quick, easy, effective, and that lasts. And especially in that kind of heat, it can be hard to find products that really hold up in that kind of environment. This routine has been definitely put to the test. So I hope you guys enjoy. If you do while you're watching, you can give it a thumbs up. Everything I talk about and use on my face is always listed down below in the description box. Cheers. Foundation Friday. All right, this is the first video I'm filming after about a week, so I feel refreshed. I'm ready. I've got my coffee. This stuff, by the way, amazing. This tastes better than like a Starbucks drink. But anyways, I'm excited to film. I always have stuff pre-filmed, so you still saw me here, but if you follow me on Instagram, which is just at Taylor Wynn, then I was posting there while I was in South Carolina. Okay, so let's get into the makeup routine. So I already put on my SPF. The one I've been using is the Sun Killer SPF from YesStyle. I talked about in my recent favorite SPFs video. I went in depth about all the different kinds, tinted, non-tinted, ones for different skin types. So if you missed that video, I'll link it in the eye down below. So for primer, I always have two in my travel makeup bag, the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer and the Tatcha Silk Canvas Primer, because these are just my few samples, so I just kind of rotated between the two. But today I'm gonna use the Tatcha, and I'm just gonna bring this around my pores and also actually like underneath my eye. I feel like this really makes a difference with concealer. I think I'm gonna start doing this more often because I felt like it was really helping. Obviously my face is pretty red today just from hot pack this morning, so which is kind of good for today's video because you can see how much coverage the foundation actually has. So I brought two foundations with me on the trip, the Essence Pretty Natural and the one I'm going to talk about and use in today's video. I ended up not using this one at all when I was there because the other one just lasted amazing the first day and throughout the airport and everything, and I was just kind of blown away. I had been already testing this foundation for about a month now, but this is the foundation, the Physicians Formula Better Believe It. The reason why I ended up bringing this one is because if you saw my vlog where I talked about the nude spa experience, I ended up wearing this foundation in that spa, and we were going in like 140 degree, 170 degree sauna rooms, and this lasted, and it looked pretty good by the end of the whole few hour spa thing. Literally the ultimate foundation test, like 170 degree rooms, you know, where you're like full on sweating. So I felt like this had some major potential for the southern heat and humidity, and I was correct. So my tanner shade is the shade Fair to Light, which is this one. It is still a bit light, but I just warm up my face with bronzer after. And then my normal shade is Fair Pale, and this is actually a pretty good shade match in undertone for me. I'll link that vlog in the eye down below too. So this foundation has crawled up into the position of one of my all-time favorite drugstore foundations. It is full coverage, still looks like skin. It doesn't look cakey. I would say it has a satin glowy finish, but it also is one of those foundations that can look glowier depending on what you use underneath and over top. It doesn't crease on me, and it's just incredibly long lasting. I wore this through a whole day traveling across the US on the plane, and it still looked great once we arrived in Charleston. I wish I got a photo of that actually. I didn't know I was gonna be doing this video because I didn't know how it was gonna last in the humidity at that point. So this one I can use actually with my sponge directly or with a brush. What I'm gonna do today is put it on with a brush and then just press it in with a sponge to get the most coverage since I do have a lot of redness going on today. So I'm gonna put it just directly on my brush. This is the e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush, and let's go in. The one thing I don't like about this is the scent. It is fragranced. We don't need fragrance in foundations. Every brand out there, please register that. So you can see it's looking a little light right now, especially because I just put on a fresh coat of tanner. But I do think this oxidizes about half a shade, and once I have bronzer on, everything matches a lot better. So this is a drugstore foundation. The number of shades sucks. There's 12 shades, but within those 12 shades, it does look like it's spread pretty evenly. Physicians Formula 100% needs to work on their shades all around. So you can see how full coverage that is, covering everything. This says foundation and concealer, and honestly, sometimes I don't even feel like I need to put concealer on with this because you can see how it just covered everything. I'm gonna use my dry Kokie Cosmetic sponge on my forehead. I could do a brush too, I'll do it either way, but I'm just in the sponge mood today for up here. The shade is looking extra like it's not matching my neck under this lighting, but I'm just gonna take my sponge, go over and really press around my pores. It just sits on my skin so nicely. If you have acne or acne scarring, I do think this one would cover. And by the way, on Ulta's website, I think they only have like 5 shades of this for some reason. On Physicians Formula's website, that's where you can find the full range. What you can also do, and this goes for any foundation, but especially if there's a foundation you like, but maybe there's not a perfect shade for you, there are foundation mixers, either dark ones or light ones, where you can adjust the shade of your foundation. The concealer I used every single day, this was the only concealer I brought, is the Hailey's Beauty Rewind Blurring Full Coverage Concealer. The shade that I used most was light neutral because I had tanner on, but my not tanner shade is Fair Light Neutral. And this one is full coverage. I love this because you need a tiny, tiny amount. A little bit goes a long way, and it's waterproof, so it just lasted really well throughout the day. Doesn't crease badly. It reminds me of a more matte version of the Hourglass Vanish, like similar kind of coverage and everything, and it just lasts really well. So I'm gonna go and blend it out. And I've been liking to focus most of my concealer towards the inner part of my eye because that's where I have the most darkness, and then whatever's left over I'll just bring out. I know this is gonna shock some people, especially people with oily skin. I didn't set my face at all the entire time I was there. No powder, for a couple of reasons. One, I normally don't, and especially lately, like if I can find a concealer like this or the Hourglass I don't have to set, I don't do it. My skin, I would say, is pretty normal right now. Obviously, if you have oily skin, you'll wanna set your face with a powder. The other reason why in major heat I don't like setting my face is because if you're sweating and you have a powder on, you can't work it back into your skin as easily as you can if you have no powders. If you have no powders on, you can kind of just tap things out, you know, blend it in with your hands as you're in the bathroom, kind of touch things up, which I actually didn't even feel like I had to do. But if you have powder on, you can't really do that. You can touch up with a powder, but if you're like sweating on top of powder, sometimes I find that things just don't look as good on my skin. So obviously this is focused on the base, but I'm also just gonna do the rest of my makeup because it was pretty basic and I did the exact same look every single day. And if you just want like a quick vacation, everyday kind of makeup look, this is what I did. And my whole makeup, by the way, took me maybe about 15 minutes each day. Just put on a little bit of the CoverGirl Easy Breezy Brow, and then I'm gonna go in with the Milani Weekend Brow. Honestly, some of the days there, I just like wasn't caring about my brows, and I just put on a brow gel and a little bit of an eyebrow pencil and called it a day. This is definitely gonna be in my next Raise and Rejects. It's amazing. So this trip was actually, I think, the most last minute trip I've ever planned. We literally booked the flights the day before because we were supposed to go to Lake Tahoe with my parents, my boyfriend, and his parents. Unfortunately, there were really bad forest fires near Tahoe, so it was pretty smoky. So I hope everyone in your homes are okay if you live in that area. So we canceled that trip and then basically looked at the Kayak Explorer and just like picked a city to go to that had cheap flights. Charleston it was. And Charleston is actually so cute. I don't know what I was expecting, but not that. I've been to North Carolina because my grandma lives in North Carolina. I think I was kind of picturing Charlotte. I found it to be super different than Charlotte. It seems like kind of like an up and coming city. Like tons of cute, you know, trendy kind of restaurants and shops and stuff. Obviously there's a ton of important history there. We went to one of the plantations, Boone Hall, did the whole tour and everything. And then we did a historical walking tour too, which you can just find those in any city on Airbnb experiences. That's where I always book them. But now I really want to go to Savannah. Wouldn't recommend going in the summer, folks. If you want to know my top places that we went, restaurants, recommendations, things we did, I do have it highlighted on my Instagram under the travel highlight. But anyways, cream bronzer. I'm going to use the Danessa Myricks. Love this in the shade Light 1. This is beautiful. I'm so happy I picked this up on Sephora. I got it based on the good reviews and I love the shade of this and also how it blends out. It lasted really well and it's one of my new favorites. I think this might be crawling into #1, folks. The shade is just so nice. It's not too orange and it doesn't pick up the product underneath. Using my favorite brush with any cream products, e.l.f. Putty Primer Applicator, you need this. By the way, I did this dip powder at home and I'm obsessed. I think I might just live with silver glittery nails on my hands for the rest of my life. I was switching between these two blushes. I did feel like this one lasted throughout the day a little better. It's the Rare Beauty Happy Blush, which I've raved about, and I also love the Tower 28 Magic Hour Beach Please. Both of these you can't go wrong with. If you really need your makeup to stay on your face though, I would say go with the Rare Beauty one. But because I've used this one more in videos, I'm gonna use the Tower 28 today. It's just so beautiful. I love the way this one blends out. I'm gonna blend that more on the other side, don't worry. This one does have a glow, but I just feel like it gives the prettiest like peachy summery kind of look. Not that you need to be looking hotter when you're in the South, but it gives that like very flushed summery kind of look. One of the things I think is interesting is in the summer in Seattle, it's like that's the time to be outside, to walk, to like go on long pretty walks outside. And like in the South it's just so friggin' hot that you can't do that. So I guess people just have like gym memberships and stuff, and like that's how you get your exercise in, because you literally can't exercise outside. We saw a couple people running and we're like, how are you not dead? So because of just the humidity and the fact that I'm already wearing a glowy foundation, a glowy blush, most of the days I actually didn't put on a face highlight because I didn't feel like I needed to look more glowy, you know? But if I did put one on, it was the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter in the shade Too Fair. I'm gonna do it today because why not? But I would say I wore this about half the time. But I'm just keeping this right here, not bringing it too far down. If you are someone who has oily skin and you want to set your face, a couple powder recommendations for you. Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder. This I talked about in my last Raves and Rejects video, my most recent one. It's just so good if you want to mattify, but you don't want to look cakey and powdery, and you just want like a light dusting of powder. My favorite under eye setting powder is Laura Mercier Secret Blurring Powder. I use this with my Shop Miss Ace sponge and press this on underneath. Super pretty. So I've been using the Anastasia eye primer, and I think I'm actually gonna purchase the full size of this because it is good. And I remember when I did the Ulta makeover video where the makeup artist did my makeup, she used this, and I remember her saying it was her favorite primer, and I think I wanted to purchase that after that video and I just kind of like forgot. So I've been using this sample, and the reason why I love this one, usually I don't like these kind of like, you know, squeeze tube like liquid eye primers, but this one, as you can see, has some color payoff. So it actually gives you a little bit of a base, which is why normally I like using the Paint Pot or my Caviar Eye Stick Vanilla Kiss by Laura Mercier, but this really locks in your shadow. Okay, so I did the most basic eyeshadow ever. I wasn't in the mood to do eyeshadow. I used my Sigma Ritzy palette. This was the only one I brought, and I basically just mixed this shade and this shade with a big fluffy brush, put it all over, and that was kind of that. I didn't want to do a ton of eyeshadow, so I just kind of wanted something to set my lid, because if you don't set your lids with shadow, especially in the heat when you're sweating or there's a lot of moisture, your mascara, no matter what you use, is likely going to transfer up if it's not set right here. So you definitely want to make sure you're powdering and setting your eyelids. One of my favorite product discoveries recently is the NYX Epic Ink Liner. You guys, this thing does not budge. It's from the drugstore. It's super black, waterproof. I can tell you it stays on there crying. It lasts all day, looks super black, doesn't transfer. I think this one is stepping into #1 for me. Some days I did a wing, most days I didn't. Today it turned into a wing, so here we are. For mascara, always Essence Lash Princess False Lash Effect, the green one. This is the only one I brought, only one I used. And if you, like I said, set right here, this won't transfer up. If you don't, it will. Super basic for the eyes, that's all I did. So for lips, I kind of had a couple combinations. My first go-to one was the Charlotte Tilbury Iconic Nude Liner. I always have this in my travel bag because you can pretty much wear it with anything. I use this just to outline my lips, not completely filled in. And then I put on the Physicians Formula Diamond Plumper Gloss over top in Pink Radiant Cut. This has become one of my go-tos. It's just such a pretty summery pink color. And then my other go-to was the LA Girl Glossy Tint Lip Stain. This is a new product from them. I talked about this in, I think I wore it on Foundation Friday or something, can't remember. But it's in the shade Sheer 90. And the thing I really don't like about this is that it smells extremely strong, like chemicals. Like it almost smells like nail polish or something. It has a really intense scent. But once it's on my lips, it goes away. It's just like that initial out of the bottle where you're like, whoa, what's happening here? If you want that wash of color, but you don't want to have to worry about touching up your lips, you don't want it to come off, this one I really like for that like just very natural pink look. So I'm gonna apply this one today. And when I do this, I didn't put on a lip liner or anything. And it almost gives you that like just ate a popsicle kind of look. This lip lasts really well. You don't have to fuss with it. This was the other thing I brought. I always bring this on vacation. This is one of my favorite lip products of all time. I don't even know what shape this is. I'll have this down below. It's basically like a tinted chapstick that gives you actually a similar look to this. It's just not as long lasting since it's just a chapstick. This is the look. Super basic, but effective. It stayed on. It was easy to do. So if you have vacation coming up, or if you live somewhere super humid and you just need an easy routine, everyday kind of look, that's gonna stay on and gonna last. I hope this works out as well as I hope this works out for you as well as it worked out for me. That was rough. Maybe I need more coffee. My go-to hairstyle was exactly this. I learned very quickly that you can't do really anything besides a bun if you have thick wavy hair. So I'm gonna show you what this looks like in natural lighting so you can really see everything. So here I am in front of the window in natural lighting so you can see up close what this looks like. I'm gonna zoom in. Here we are zoomed in. I just find that this one looks so soft, and it does give that like plumping kind of look certain foundations can, where it's really flattering on my forehead. That's like my problem area. A lot of foundations look super crappy around there. This one just smooths everything over, sits beautifully on the skin, and has the coverage and lasts. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, you can give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out. I appreciate it. I'm gonna have all the products I talked about today listed down below in the description box. And I have a Foundation Friday playlist if you want to watch more videos like this. And I think that's it. I love you guys. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.